Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Balabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Balabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivacharya Stotarastata Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivacharya Stotarastata Śrīmad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavindi ki jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai. Granthara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, Shri Guru Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today morning we are reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 5, entitled Prahlada, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu. Text number 19. Tata yenam guru natva. Tata yenam guru natva. Nata nyeya chatustayam. Nata neya chatustayam. Taitrayendram darshayam asha. Daityendram darshayam asha. Matramishtam alankritam. Matramishtam alankritam. Tata yenam guru gnatva. Jnata neya chatustaya. Daitrindram darshayam asha. Matramritam alankritam. Tata yenam guru gnatva. Nata neya tatustayam. Daitendram darshayam asha. Matramrishtam alankritam. Nata neya chatustayam. Daitendram darshayam asha. Matramrishtam alankritam. Okay, Mataji's. Tatayenam guru natva. Nata neya chatustayam. Daitendram darshayam asha. Matramrishtam alankritam. Okay. Do you want to read? No? Natayenam guru natva. Nadaneya jatustayam. Daitendriyam darshayam asha. Matramrishtam alankritam. What word meaning? Tataha. Thereafter. Enam. Him. Prahlad Maharaj. Guru. His teachers. Natva. Knowing. Nata. Known. Neya. Which are to be known. Chatustayam. The four diplomatic principles. Sama, the process of pacifying. Dana, the process of giving money in charity. Beda, the principle of dividing. And Danda, the principle of punishment. Daitya Indram unto Hiranyakashipu, the king of the Daityas. Darshayam Asha, presented. Matra Mrishtam, being bathed by his mother. Alankratam, decorated with ornaments. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. After some time, the teachers Sandha and Amarka thought that Prahlad Maharaj was sufficiently educated in the diplomatic affairs of pacifying public leaders, appeasing them by giving them lucrative posts, dividing and ruling over them, and punishing them in case of disobedience. Then one day, after Prahlad's mother had personally washed the boy and dressed him nicely with sufficient ornaments, they presented him before his father. Purport. It is essential for a student who is going to be a ruler or king to learn the four diplomatic principles. There is always rivalry between a king and his citizens. Therefore, when a citizen agitates the public against the king, the duty of the king is to call him and try to pacify him with sweet words, saying, "You are very important in the state. Why should you disturb the public with some new cause for agitation?" If the citizen is not pacified, the king should then offer him some lucrative post as a governor or minister, any post that draws a high salary, so that he may be agreeable. If the enemy still goes on agitating the public, the king should try to create dissension in the enemy's camp. But if he still continues, the king should employ argumentum ad botulum, severe punishment, by putting him in jail or placing him before a firing squad. The teachers appointed by Hiranyakashipu taught Prahlad Maharaj how to be a diplomat so that he could rule over the citizens very nicely. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sagitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitam Sha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shirade Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sudadevi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Seeking the blessing of all assembled Vaishnavas. Just speak from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam for my own purification. After some time, the teachers Sanda and Amarka thought that Prahlad Maharaj was sufficiently educated in diplomatic affairs of pacifying public leaders, appeasing them by giving them lucrative posts, dividing and ruling over them, and punishing them in case of disobedience. 4 diplomatic principles. Diplomacy. What is diplomacy? Dealing with people. Yeah. Diplomacy, it's art of negotiation. Diplomacy is something you tell the plain truth without offending people. Or also you can have, this diplomacy is everywhere. International relation, if a country wants to maintain a good relation, right? They have diplomats. Cultural diplomacy, political diplomacy, international borders, trading diplomacy. If this diplomacy, politics, and interpersonal communication, these are all one pool. You can't separate from them. Here, the Sandan Amarka, they're teaching Prahlad how to be a politician, but then even in the first few verses ago, he was not interested because he was not interested in politics. Now they're teaching diplomacy, how to deal with others, how to deal with the citizens, how to deal. Generally, diplomacy we see as a negative connotation in our spiritual organization, if you really see. This diplomacy, so if you see the diplomacy, we see in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita where the opening scene, whole Dhritarashtra was very diplomatic, and then Duryodhana was very diplomatic. He want to really, in terms of using words, in terms of poking the leaders, in terms of pointing out, he want to get the things done in an uncompromising way and in a very diplomatic way. So, are you okay? Yeah. So, very diplomatic. But then if you see, Krishna also the greatest diplomat. He is the greatest diplomat in ever history of mankind, right? These rules which you see here, the 4 kinds of thing which Krishna used, Sama, Dana, Beda and Danda. Sama is to pacify, to compromise. So Krishna went as a peace messenger to pacify both the parties, Kauravas and Pandavas. But then Duryodhana, being very ignorant and foolish, you can say, in terms of not understanding, so he wanted to be smart enough to want to arrest Krishna, and then he failed miserably. Then what happened? Krishna asked, let us give this at least 5 villages for these Pandavas as a dana, charity. You don't have to give your half of the kingdom. Just give these 5 villages. They are Kshatriyas, they are meant to rule. So just give 5. Then what did Duryodhana said? I won't even give a space or a land, even you can drive a pin. So that is failed. Then Krishna want to divide and rule. Krishna want to make allies. So went to Karna. And he said, your actual identity is you are son of Kunti. You are the elder brother of Pandavas. Why don't you join your brothers? But Karna was being lack of spiritual knowledge and lack of devotion, lack of many things, good qualities. He was very much ethic and moral based, materialistic way of approach, and he also failed. Then finally one option was war. And even this, even the war, during the war also, Krishna was very diplomatic as well. Even the Duryodhana, and we can see in Bhagavatam also we have situations where Krishna broke his promise to save his devotees. In fact, the whole first chapter is where, if you see, Duryodhan very much diplomacy, and Dhritarashtra was asking in a diplomatic way to Sanjaya. But the rest of the Bhagavad Gita, it's whole about conversation between Arjuna and Krishna, where Krishna is trying to be diplomat here, trying to convince Arjuna to take up the war in different ways. So basically that's the best example we can see, because even though Arjuna presenting so many reasons of not to fight and so many arguments, but Krishna being very nice in terms of explaining why you should fight in different aspects, in terms of Atma Tattva, in terms of duty, in terms of, Buddhi Yoga, so many reasons Krishna gives. And finally, he presented devotion. So, diplomacy is good or bad, if you ask, we can't answer straight. In fact, for the matter of fact, if you ask any skill or any activity, is it going to be spiritual or material, it is good or bad, we cannot answer. Right? It depends on many factors. It depends on one's intention, what is the ultimate benefit you're going to give, who is going to get the benefit, in terms of organization. So we have to consider, because these things will make. In Krishna consciousness, we do many activities actually, which can be bewildering to materialistic people, they cannot take it. You do so many activities, so many things. In fact, many people, this is one of the classic argument when Arjuna was saying in the first section of third chapter, Gita also, the people consider that Krishna consciousness is an inertia or a movement where nothing can be done, no activity should be there. People think spirituality means that give up activity. Spirituality means that whatever you do, you stop, don't do anything, just sit and meditate. But actually, when you come to Krishna consciousness, your life is actually 10 times more busy than normal, right? Because you want to do more for Krishna. You want to do more and good thing, perfect for Krishna, right? So in that case, if you see diplomacy, it's there everywhere. It's not there in ISKCON, it is there. It is there in ISKCON, it is there in any spiritual organization, it is there in any organization. And especially in ISKCON, we are dealing with politics, we are dealing with government, we are dealing with our neighbors, we are dealing with our management, we are dealing with many people, right? Where do you see diplomacy in ISKCON? Yeah, we find diplomacy in ISKCON. Do you know anywhere? Any example? Where we use diplomacy? Yeah. Yeah, book distribution. It's an art of negotiation. We are coming to a common terms, right? We're trying to find that person interest, and then we giving solution in such matches that person need, and then we present our books in a very positive way of diplomacy, right? It's a difference, because if you see, when Duryodhan speaking diplomacy, the idea is personal happiness and personal interest, right? But when Krishna presenting diplomacy to Arjuna, it's not his interest, it is Arjuna's interest, for the benefit of Arjuna, for the benefit of whole, humanity, for the benefit of the jiva. Similarly, when we present diplomacy, we are not presenting in terms of what I should get, what position or what happiness or what is in it for me. That is not the mentality. We are presenting in a compassionate way, we are presenting in a way that what is the benefit for the whole organization, we are representing the organization. They're saying like Prabhupada used to say, right? We enter like a pin, come like a plow. What does that mean? If there is an opportunity, grab it. What does that mean? It's all diplomacy. Like, for example, if you think about this statement, enter like a pin and come like a plow. Right? Do you understand the term? Like, we get an opportunity to enter a little bit and then we expand it. Yeah. Or otherwise, this is the example Prabhupada used to give. There's a snake and a mouse. The mouse make a hole to live. The snake comes. What does it do? He eats the mouse and take over the position, take over the place. Right? Because it can be a very negative thing, because Prabhupada said there should be no diplomacy, no politics in terms of warning, because he has seen personally when that position, or when diplomacy or when politics got into one's mind, the whole organization have collapsed. Example of Gaudiya Math. He has personally seen, because these people they were together, but then at one point when Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj left, everything collapsed. Because they couldn't able to see the common benefit for the whole organization. They started fighting individually, and they started taking, my place, this is my mat, this is my position, this is my... Everything started to fall apart. So Prabhupada doesn't want that. But still, even Prabhupada, if you see his life, he was the greatest diplomat. Do you think, dealing with all these people who are from Lower East Side of New York is easy? Do you think getting properties and place and managing the international society throughout the world and expanding, is it easy? No. So he had to follow these principles as well. Sometimes he has to punish. Say, for example, in our temple, we want to negotiate with some people, right? We want to offer some gift. So like, for example, in Christmas we give some cakes, and in other Diwali or something we give gift to many people, to all the people who work with, right? Right? And then we want to ban someone who is making a mess. We want to punish them. We want to stop. No, you're not allowed, because you're creating havoc here, right? So we do that. Similarly, if you take a whole organization, they also do that. They have to deal with someone, so they have to be nice with some people, and they have to be against. As an individual also, if you see, as a devotee progress from Kanishta to Madhyama, he has to distinguish. He has to be friend with devotees. He has to worship the Lord, right? He has to avoid the envious people, and he has to be compassionate to the innocent. This is a diplomacy here, because how do you deal with others? How do you do? So what other place you see diplomacy in ISKCON? Book distribution, any other? Dealing with neighbors, exactly. Like it's an urgent requirement. We need some diplomats here, right? Because this is art actually. This is art. We have to present Krishna consciousness in such a way that we don't offend people. We want to explain them in a nice way. So we are dealing with them. See, for example, the other day I was coming late in the night, and there was one devotee, at the back of the lane. So some spill happened, so someone complained, this devotee has come all the way from western suburb and spoke to the neighbors, because he is one of the person who is dealing with our neighbors. So he has come and he has see the place, spoke to them, explained to them, So being nice to them. He doesn't have to do that, but why he is doing? Because it's the interest of the organization. We have to do. Same, any politician, any diplomats, if you see, they go to the other country as a foreign minister, foreign affairs or something, a trade diplomacy or cultural or whatever. But then he is going to see, okay, what are the problems, what are the positives, how can we work together? If that's not happening, then what happened? They'll end up in war, right? First negotiation happened, no. Some dadati pradiganati, we give gift and accept gift, something. If nothing there, then fight happens. Conflict management comes. What other place we see diplomacy? Dealing with devotees, yeah. We talk about, even if you see the conversation of Krishna and Arjuna, you can see from this angle of guru and disciple, right? When a guru is dealing with the disciple, he has to be diplomat as well, because he needs to know what is suitable for him. How can he be better engaged in Krishna consciousness in an advanced way, right? How can he give instruction? Huh? So he is giving instruction according to the disciple. And he has to find fault in him. See? This is a job of a guru, finding a thankless thing. You want to find fault in him, correct. Same with the management and authorities. They find fault, they're trying to correct you, they find, educate you, give training. What is good, what is bad. We see everywhere, even if you see interfaith, we have interfaith dealing with other religion organization. So we are going and discussing what is a common thing we want to implement. So in my, when there's a funny incident happened during the COVID time. So we were, one of the devotee was dealing with council, and then the council said, okay, you go to this company, which is a big company who is giving food relief for all those people during the emergency time. And then there's a devotee, a friend of mine, he went to that place, and then he was introduced by council to the company. Then he went and picked up the stuff, like, we get dry boga, vegetables. And then council take a little bit and we bring some. So this was going on. Over a period of time, this devotee developed a good relationship with the company. And then the company, what happened is, they said, okay, we're going to cut down our food relief program. We cannot afford because the donations are less now. So we're going to stop giving food. So the devotee was worried. And the company said, no, we're not going to stop you, but we're going to stop the council. So we're going to still continue to you. And this message went to council. So council was a little upset. We only introduced you guys, and then you take over, and then we are not getting. So we had a meeting. And then council person, both went to the company. And the company said, sorry, this is we have decided, if anything we want to deal with the person. So they told to the council, if you need anything, you can tell the query to this person, and he will be the representative of you. You can go out like that. So if you see, it's a very diplomatic move actually, but in a good intention, good way. Then we spoke to the council, we said, no, it will help. Then it eventually got solved, because they again escalated and they said, okay, we will give it to you as well, and we will give it to Hare Krishna as well. So if you see, then it can be used as a negative way also. We can use our position, our power, our influence people and manipulate people to achieve our own personal happiness. But as a devotee, we don't want to do that. We want to please Krishna. At the end of the day, we want to please Krishna, and we want to please Srila Prabhupada, who is our Founder-Acharya of our society. So when we are representing out in the community, outside, we have to keep this in our mind, that whatever position, whatever strength, whatever knowledge or whatever we have, we are presenting in a nice way, of course in a diplomatic way, just to make sure that Krishna is pleased our activities and Prabhupada is pleased our thing. So that's why it is here. So here if you see, Prabhupada takes an example of a citizen who is, first trying to pacify, the king has to pacify the citizen. The next is king has to give some post, lucrative post. And then otherwise he has to make dissension or divide and rule. Then finally, this word argumentum ad bachulam. What does that mean? this danda, stick. Force, abide by force. Force will be used. Sometimes, when we are dealing with our mind, we have to be diplomats as well. Better start from the last to first in dealing with our mind. First, because the mind gives a lot of agitation. Krishna says you have to control your mind to be friend. Otherwise, the mind is the greatest enemy. Right? So even Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, morning you have to, broom 100 times, and then evening hit with the shoes. It's basically not a physical sense in terms of, one has to take a shoe and beat himself. No. Basically following the instruction of Guru and, chanting Hare Krishna. Basically working on the mental platform. You have to tell the mind, yes, you have to do it. Yeah, sometimes you can negotiate, okay, fine, maybe in terms of time and service, under the guidance of authorities, you can ask them and then negotiate, But then most of the time we should able to ignore the mind's demand, the mind's urge of the mind. At times overwhelming. So better we be very diplomatic in dealing with our mind so that we can make our mind a good friend, so that it can able to follow the Krishna consciousness. So this is how, even if you're dealing with someone, even dealing with the mind, dealing with other devotees. So we see diplomacy. Yeah. So that's a point about diplomacy. Anyone has any comments or question? What we discuss? Yes.
In the devotional community, when does diplomacy become a problem?
When does what?
When does diplomacy become a problem?
Promising? What?
When diplomacy becomes problematic.
Promising means I didn't get that. Huh?
When diplomacy.
Oh, diplomacy. Okay. Sorry. When diplomacy becomes problem.
Like when is it a problem?
If you have a material agenda, if you have some kind of hidden agenda, and if it's mainly why we have to understand why we have to be diplomatic before we implement. But it's a very subtle thing. You may not know, either when you are receptive or when you are acting, both way, right? But the outcome can tell you. Outcome, is it pleasing, or is it you're flaring your ego, or is it, right? If the other person who are dealing is happy, or you are happy at the end of the day, you don't have any guilty feeling, that's only your introspection. But at the end of the day, we act in a way so that it can be pleasing to all. But as I said, intention is more, in a way, it's good. But sometimes, even if you act in best of the intention, there are some people who won't be happy with you. Right? If you do best of your activities in devotee community, there are some people who will not be happy. They can be, even Prabhupada. Take the example of Prabhupada. Prabhupada did everything for the best of the humanity, but the god brothers of him were not happy. What is that? Acharya, we're talking about Acharyas, eh? Bhakti Siddhanta, not many people were happy with him. But he was doing for the welfare of the people, for the benefit of the organization, for the benefit of the people, right? So in our case, if we want to act, obviously it's better to act under the guidance, first of all. And also, obviously the benefit of that person is more important, right? When you're dealing with people or anything. In Krishna consciousness, not in a material term, in Krishna consciousness. And you can also ask him, you can ask him whatever you've done, whatever you're doing. So when it comes problem, when it goes out of your hand, or when it really hurts yourself or other person. So we have to be very careful in dealing. And also I find it personally that the lack of devotion can actually make very mundane in dealing with people. When I see that it's going like really manipulating and everything, I find that, that's probably my sadhana is not good. So that's my understanding. If anything goes wrong or something, maybe I should work on my chanting. That's my personal. Because over time I've seen that when you're dealing with the people management and resource, you lack, if you lack some kind of gratitude and everything, so I find that, really need to work on my devotion. And you have to genuinely take care of the people whom you are dealing and working for you. So, still learning. Thank you. Anyone want to add? You want to add, Prabhu? Okay. Yes. Krishna.
Thank you for the clarification. You were saying about in diplomacy, so if somebody doesn't behave properly in the society, he should be given punishment, or first pacified and then given punishment if he doesn't correct himself. And a person who is behaving nicely, you award him, give him nice post or whatever. But then it said that we should treat everybody equally. And how is it seen that you're treating everybody equally if you're giving one punishment, giving one reward?
See, we have to see, first we have to understand, okay, everyone is equal in terms of that they are not the body, they are soul. That is one understanding. But in order to benefit, even when we want to associate, we want to discriminate, because that's for our benefit of growth. So at one level, yes, they are all equal, they are all spirit soul, so I would like to respect everyone. Okay, everyone is treated equally so that I can respect everyone. But that in terms of association, in terms of management, if you see, so here he is saying these are the principle for a king. For a king, all the subjects are equal. Yes, because they are living in the country which is managed by the king. But in order to keep the people who are a good citizen, then they have to construct a jail. Right? Why? Because that who are following the rules and regulations, they should not be disturbed. So then there is a place so that he can be put there. So similarly, on terms of ruling, yes, we need to discriminate. Similarly, in our spiritual realm also, if you see, we respect everyone. We don't discriminate. We respect everyone. We respect the demigods. We respect the forefathers. But we don't worship everyone. We worship only Krishna, right? And we respect all the humans. Yes, everyone is a living entity, children of God, fine. But in terms of association, we only choose pure devotees, right? So similarly, on one level, everything is equal. So it's like Krishna is everywhere. Yes, on terms of Paramatma is everywhere. In terms of his energy is everywhere, right? But Krishna is also as a person. Yes, as a deity is a person. The Supreme Lord is a person. So we see that. So one level it is equal, another level no, like that. So similarly, here if we see, yes, one level everyone is equal in terms of, praja or ruling or atma on different level. And another level, next level, then you have to see, okay, which is good. You have to keep the good separate, bad separate, like that. Isn't it? Okay? Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you very much. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You have a question? No, no. Do you have a question? No, no. Okay. Is everything okay, Sivya? Okay.